What's going on YouTube? My name is Ozzy. This is my channel, FATT Fantasy All the Time. My team is Gotham City Rouges. Unfortunately, I did not make the playoffs. So this is the playoff bracket for first and fourth place. First place is Magic Man, and Got Some Pussy finally is J Lo. So let's check out the lineup here. Magic Man is projected to score 90 points to J Lo's 94 points. They both have top quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is number one, but he does play the tougher defense in Seattle, and Brady is playing a very tough defense in Baltimore. Now, Baltimore is good against the pass, but they're not great against the run. So if they can establish the run, they can build off the pass. Right? Build off. They can work on their pass, building off the run. So Aaron Rodgers plays Seattle. Seattle has some injuries at safety, so maybe he could take advantage of that. Maybe he can't. I don't know. They didn't look that great against the Texans, and the Texans themselves are not that good at defense. So they're not as good as Seattle's defense. That's what I meant to say. All right, so let's check out the rest of the lineup. Frank Gore versus Houston. Frank Gore is not going to do anything against Houston. We're going to shut him down. So whatever he's projected to get, I believe it was like 10 points. He's not going to get that. Devonta Freeman, the hot hand here. So let's ride the hot hand. He is going to beast against LA, and he should get 20 something points. He is going to be the player. Him and Elliott are going to be the high scoring players against this team. So like I said, ride the hot hand. So Freeman is very hot right now. He's showing that he is a number one back. It's less of a timeshare now that Coleman has been injured, so he should take full advantage of it. All right, DeMarco Murray against Denver. Now Denver is weak against the run, so Murray should beast. But again, they are playing against Denver. If they fall behind, they're only going to have to throw. Denver's the number one against the pass. Ezekiel Elliott against New York, he's going to do what he does. So off of just these two guys, Fernando Magic Man should easily get the win. These three guys are going to. These two guys are probably going to score half of his points this week, and they're going to get him into the second into an easy win. Moncrief and Larry Fitzgerald. All right, Larry Fitzgerald should be able to get a touchdown, so he's good for about 10 points possibly. Moncrief, he could go either way. He could score 4 points, or he could get 15 points. Somebody is going to get a touchdown against Houston. Is it either going to be him or Hilton? We're not going to give up 3 touchdowns to the tight end, and Andrew Luck is not going to throw for 4 touchdowns. He's maybe good for 2, possibly 3, but he's not going to look like he did against the who was it? They played the Jets. Yeah, he's not. We're not the Jets. We're not that good, but we're not the Jets. All right. Jamison Crowder against Philadelphia. Philadelphia's pretty good against the pass. Rashard Matthews against Denver. All right. I'm not 100% sure if Fernando should start Rashard Matthews. He is a touchdown machine, but he didn't get one last game. Now, Denver is number one against the pass. If they get behind, they're going to have to throw. So could he get a touchdown? Possibly, possibly not. I will feel safer starting Shepard in Rashard Matthews plays. And if he really likes Rashard Matthews, bench Rashard Jennings and go with Rashard Jennings with Rashard Matthews. Or even go with Sterling Shepard and James White or Dion Lewis, one of the two. Or even go with dual tight end, Greg Olsen. But I don't know. I'm not going to manage this team for him. He's in first place because he knows what he's doing. Obviously, I didn't. Tyler Eifert versus Cincinnati in Cincinnati versus Cleveland. That should be a good game. That's a very good matchup right there. Travis Kelce versus Oakland. Again, another good matchup. So those guys right there kind of even each other out. This is where it gets interesting. Robert Kelly has not produced like he did the last he had that big game. So if Robert Kelly could get something going, that could make things interesting. Rashad Jennings versus Dallas. He is probably good for 70 all-purpose yards, maybe a touchdown. But like I said, I would probably feel more comfortable starting Sterling Shepard. Lions defense is good against Chicago with a backup quarterback, and the Broncos are the Broncos against Tennessee. Now, they're going to get sacks. They're going to get possibly interceptions. They're going to get quite a bit of everything. So if Tennessee runs up, if they if they run up the score on Tennessee and Tennessee plays from behind late in the game, that could easily diminish the points that Broncos can score. All right, Gostkowski over McManus. Gostkowski, I'm gonna go with Gostkowski because they just play a better. He's in a better team. McManus is a pretty good team, but they're not playing at full throttle like they usually do. All right, so I did mention that I prefer Fernando going with Sterling Shepard, Dion Lewis, or even Greg Olsen, other than Rashard Matthews. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of Rashad Jennings. The only thing that I would recommend for J-Lo to do is possibly, I don't know. I think he said that's about as good as lineup's going to get, I guess. Palmer, Falcons. Oh, he's carrying two defenses. I don't know why he's carrying two defenses, the Colts and the Falcons. Seems like a very rookie move, but again, these two guys are in the playoffs, so they obviously know what they're doing. I'm not in the playoffs. All right, guys, let's check out the other um, bracket in the playoff. All right, the second matchup here is Christine Michael Steven versus J Lo Beeline Garza. All right, so J Lo Beeline got the home field advantage. He's projected to get 97 points to Stevens 89 points. All right, we were talking Mez on the group text the last during the week, and I said that Christian Michael sucked and that Thomas Ross is the best. So I'm thinking that's why Steven changed his name to Christian Michael. I could be wrong. If I am, correct me, guys. All right, so J-Lo Beeline. He's going with Kirk Cousins against Philadelphia. That's pretty good. Kirk Cousins is number 3 in yards. Dak Prescott versus New York. That game could go either way. If Zeke controls the game on the ground, which more than likely he will, that puts less responsibility on Dak Prescott, less chances of him going deep or even going down the field by air. All right. So obviously Kirk Cousins gets the advantage right there, and I do believe the projections are correct. Garza should win. J-Lo Beeline, and I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in the other video, in the other matchup. Even though the projections say that Fernando's going to lose, I do believe that Fernando is going to win. So just in case I forgot to mention that, Jonathan Stewart versus San Diego, that could go either way. He could go for 100 yards, maybe even one touchdown, or he could just go for 30 yards and no touchdowns. Carolina's all over the place. So obviously Spencer Ware gets the nod. They are going against Oakland, so Oakland is the worst team against the run. So Spencer Ware should be all over the place. You know, he could probably go for 100, 2 touchdowns, or a buck 20, 2 touchdowns, or something like that. It just depends on how the offense goes. Todd Gurley versus Atlanta and David Johnson. All right, David Johnson against Miami, same situation as Spencer Ware. He's gonna have a field day with them. So hopefully Spencer Ware and David Johnson even themselves out, and Gurley gets the touchdown compared to Jonathan Stewart's no touchdown game. So Spencer Ware is good for 20. I'd say Spencer Ware is good for 18, 20 points. David Johnson is good for 20, 25 points. Jonathan Stewart is probably good for 3. Todd Gurley more than likely is going to get 8 or 9, 10 points. All right. Brandon Marshall's garbage. Mike Evans is the number 1 wide receiver, I believe, in total points for fantasy. So he's going to outproduce Brandon Marshall and Steve together. Steve Smith, not that great. T.Y. Hilton is very good. Now, T.Y. Hilton's playing Houston. It's either going to be him or Moncrief. They're going to get a touchdown. So I got the advantage going to T.Y. So far is Kirk Cousins advantage, Spencer Ware advantage, Mike Evans advantage, T.Y. Hilton advantage. You see this? You see how this is going, Christian Michael. You're probably gonna lose, man. I'm sorry. It was very fun having you in the top 4. But yeah, things went your way, things did not go my way. So yeah, I got my money on Garza. But let's see the rest of the lineup. All right, Dennis Pitta versus Cameron Brate. All right, Cameron Brate has not scored a touchdown, I believe, in 2 last games. So hopefully he's good again. He's good for 1 against New Orleans. This should be a high shootout, high scoring game. If both teams can get into the 20s, 30s, Cameron Brate should get at least 1 touchdown. All right, now Dennis Pitta, very scary tight end here. Last week at the beginning of the game, he had 2 touchdowns, and he just kept adding on yardage to it. If they start off like that, it's going to be very scary. Deshaun Jackson versus Devontae Booker. Tennessee is not that good on the ground, so Booker could possibly get 100 yards, 80 yards, touchdown. So can he deliver as much yardage as Deshaun Jackson? Probably not, because Deshaun Jackson does get his yardage in big chunks. So That's probably right there. That probably evens itself out. Bengals versus Cleveland. That they're going to score quite a bit right there. Steelers versus Buffalo. Unless they can uh, convert some turnovers, Steelers are not going to score that much. Dustin Hopkins, he's pretty good. He's good for 10 points. Robbie Gold, it just depends on how the game goes. All right. I would probably, I'm pretty sure Steven will prefer to start Jordan Reed. And I would recommend going with Michael Floyd. Maybe, yeah, that's about it. Coleman and Michael Floyd will probably be better starts than Steve Smith and Brandon Marshall, but that's just me. And on Garza's side, I like Malcolm Mitchell a lot, and I also like Jaquez and Joe Flacco. But let's see how those things go. All right, guys, let's do the losers bracket now. I'm just gonna speed through it a little bit since those games really don't matter. All right, so let's check it out. It's Gotham City Rogues projected to get 91 points to Castillo Gonzalez get 81 points. I have Andrew Luck. Like I said earlier, I'm not loving the matchup against Houston, but he could probably still get 2 touchdowns, maybe rush for a couple yards. To Andy Dalton against Cleveland, he's probably going to have a field day with Cleveland. Cardinals high, LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy is a better running back, and they are the number one running team. Thomas Rawls, this is the difference maker right here. Thomas Rawls. Doesn't matter who they play. He's going to be good for one touchdown, 100 yards every game. So he's showing that last year was not a fluke. As long as he can stay healthy, this guy is legit. Terrence West versus New England, not going to do that much. Antonio Brown versus Buffalo. Antonio Brown's on a field day. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I like Houston. I like DeAndre Hopkins, but they're playing like shit. Now we are playing Indiana, so he could probably get a couple good a couple good long passes, maybe even a touchdown. So that's probably right there, like a tie right there. Taylor Gabriel. Now, Taylor Gabriel, Julio Jones is a number one. He's questionable to play. So if he does not suit up, Taylor Gabriel automatically becomes the number one. So he's gonna see the bulk of the targets, the bulk of everything. So if Julio Jones doesn't play, Taylor Gabriel becomes a legitimate number one and a must start. Even with Jones just playing, Taylor Gabriel is attractive nonetheless. Terrell Pryor versus Cincinnati. All right, Terrell Pryor is a beast, but I don't know who the quarterback is going to be for that team. They keep saying RG3's back, whatever. So now Terrell Pryor should get something, but Cincinnati's pretty tough. So I don't know. That could go either way. Vance McDonald is the only tight end I like that's available. So I'm not liking anybody else, honestly. So that's just a start that I have to do. Jimmy Graham is top four, but against Green Bay. So let's see what happens. If they go to Lockett, because Lockett's getting on point, it could take things away from Jimmy Graham. All right, so Jimmy Graham obviously gets the advantage. Mark Ingram versus Tampa Bay and Ladarius Green. Ladarius Green is pretty good. He did good last week, but Buffalo's legit, so they're not a pushover. So hopefully Mark Ingram gets the upper hand here. Jets versus San Francisco. I should get like 20 points out of this matchup. And then Patriots versus Baltimore. Baltimore's pretty good, so not that great of a start for the Patriots. Matt Prater, he's one of the top kickers, and Greg Renault is one of the top kickers too. So, but yeah, obviously I give myself a win. I am projected to win by 10 points. So yeah, so Ronnie, I'm going to win my $50. All right. On my lineup, I kind of like Tyreek Hill. I kind of like Tyler Lockett. I picked up Alfred Morris just because I think they're going to slow down things with Dallas, and they're going to bench. They're possibly going to bench Zeke so they can have him fresh for the playoffs. So that's why I went ahead and picked out Alfred Morris. He might be a number one starter the last 2 weeks of the year, and I really want to win the losers bracket, like I said. All right, Cam Newton versus who do they play? San Diego. Yeah, San Diego. I like Andy Dalton better. So yeah, Julius Thomas don't like him too much. Wolf Fuller don't like him too much. Dory Smith don't like him too much. All right, so yeah, so Ronnie's going with dual tight ends. That's probably the smartest thing to do since they are the stronger starts. All right, guys. So the 15-minute mark's about to get here. So I'm gonna do the reviews for the other two matchups right as soon as I finish this right here. All right, guys. So let's check out the remaining matchups: Suicide Squad versus Super Saws. All right, Suicide Squad and Super Saws are probably the two best teams that are not in the playoffs. I give the advantage to Suicide Squad, even though he does not have the best record. He does have the better team, and he was, I believe, second in scoring or third in scoring. So he is projected to score 95 points. He should easily get into 100. But he is George, so he's probably gonna fuck it up. So I don't know. Actually, I think Supersauce has the better record, but George does have a better team though, and a higher scoring team. All right, so Supersauce is projected to get 84, and Suicide Squad is projected to get 95. All right, let's do these right here. Drew Brees, Big Ben. Drew Brees is the better quarterback. Big Ben has better weapons, but Drew Brees makes everybody a good weapon. All right, Le'Veon Bell, Marvin Gordon, those right there, they could each score 20, 25 points. So that right there's like it's a push right there. LeGarrette Blunt playing Baltimore. Baltimore is weak stopping the run. So LeGarrette Blunt is going to get many carries, many goal line carries. So he's going to probably produce as much as Le'Veon Bell. Tim Hightower. Tim Hightower could go either way. He could get 100 yards, a bunch of receptions, or he could just not do anything. So that one right there, obviously the advantage goes to Suicide Squad, like Eric Blunt. All right, Des Bryant, Emmanuel Sanders. All right, Tennessee's pretty good at stopping the run and stopping the pass. But Emmanuel Sanders is one of many weapons that Denver has, so he should be able to get his. Des Bryant is just in a whole nother level. And he is on the same page as Dak Prescott. So him and Prescott should be able to connect for at least 100 yards, maybe a touchdown. Thomas is one of the other weapons that Denver has, and it's either going to be Sanders Sanders for the most part is having a better year. Demaryius Thomas still demands double coverage, but he can't break away anymore, and not having someone to be able to throw it to him deep or precisely in the spot that he needs, like Peyton Manning used to be able to, it kind of diminishes his Demaryius Thomas' speed and ability to, break away for a big run. So Michael Crabtree does get the nod as the better receiver. They are playing KC. KC should be able to get some interceptions in this game, but Derek Carr doesn't care if he throws interceptions. He just throws more. He'll just keep throwing more. All right, Delaney Walker, Eric Ebron. I give the advantage to Delaney Walker. Latavius Murray and Pierre Garcon. All right, Latavius Murray is not a big fan of him. So Latavius Murray should get a touchdown, but that's just because he gets so many carries, man. Derek Carr and the receivers get him down there, and he just finishes it. Pierre Garcon sucks. I'm not gonna talk about him. Texans D and Seahawks. They both should score about 10 points. It's possible there is touchdowns going to be scored in this game. So Green Bay should score a little bit more, even though the Seahawks should be able to get some sacks and a lot more, possibly even more interceptions. Matt Bryan and Nick Novak. I give the advantage to Matt Bryan. Nick Novak's pretty good, but we're probably not going to score too much against Indy. All right. Where else? Where would I go differently? On Super Sauce's team, I don't like any of the bench players other than Matt Ryan against LA. I'll probably go Matt Ryan over Big Ben. And on Suicide Squad's team, I like Willie Snead. I like Golden Tate. And I kind of like Barnage. But he did set up the correct lineup. So, yeah. Suicide Squad should easily get the win here. Like I said, he's probably going to score 100 points. All right, the Harambe's versus Grind Time Box. All right, the Harambe's is projected to score 91 points to Grind Time Box's 82. All right, I kind of like Grind Time Box's team. He sneakily almost got into the playoffs into the playoffs. It was him and George. They could have easily gotten in if things could have gone their ways. All right. So let's check out player for player. Phillip Rivers and Matt Stafford. I got the advantage going to Matt Stafford. Lamar Miller or Sarah Carroll. Man, Lamar Miller just can't break away in those big runs, man. If he could break away for one big run, that would be a legit game. If this was a PPR league, Lamar Miller would be a lot more valuable. Carroll's pretty good, but Cincinnati's pretty good themselves. All right, Matt Forte is going to have a field day with 49ers. He's possibly going to score, get 150 yards, touchdown. If he doesn't get the 150, um, him and Powell are probably going to go for 200 yards together, or 175 together. Darren Sproles versus Washington. Darren Sproles could possibly get a touchdown since Ryan Matthews is not playing. All right, Stephon Diggs, trash. Jordy Nelson's pretty good, even though they are playing Seattle. So I'll give the nod to Jordy Nelson. Tyrell Williams, Cole Beasley. I give the nod to Cole Beasley. Antonio Gaze to Will Ty. I'm not familiar with Will Ty at all. I'm not even sure who he is or what he's done. He's good for 2 receptions, no touchdowns so far. Only one touchdown, one of the games. So he's probably just the only tight end that was available. Marcellus Bennett is injured, so that's probably what he did here. Sammy Watkins, I'm not a big fan of Sammy Watkins, but I have seen his stats and he does produce pretty good. Had he not been injured, he would have been up there in touchdowns and in yardage and all around yardage. All right, Michael Thomas, I do like him, but he is questionable to play. But if he does play, he is going to get quite a bit of points. Eagles against Washington, not big fan of the Eagles. Washington should score some points. And Cardinals versus Miami, that's going to be a difference maker right there. That defense should score some points. Miami is never that strong. So even though Grind Time Box is projected to lose by 9 points, I believe that his defense and Jordy Nelson and Cole Beasley are going to make the difference, and they should get him those extra 9 points. All right. And he has Justin Tucker. He has the best kicker there is in the league. All right. So let's see. What would I do differently? On the Haram Baines, I kind of like CJ Fedorowicz. Uh, Mike Gisley, I will start Mike Gisley. No questions asked. Um, and Kelvin Benjamin, I probably start Kelvin Benjamin over Stephon Diggs. And on the grind time box, I will go with Jason Witten over Will Ty, and I will probably go Russell Wilson over Philip Rivers. And uh, if Michael Thomas stays questionable, I will go with Kenny Stills. So that's just my predictions there. All right, guys. So let's check out the last matchup. It's going to be prediction between Timo Reno 92 points to Thor's Hammer 90 points. All right, Thor's Hammer does have better players on his team, but nobody can get it together at the same time throughout the year. Timo Reno I believe he has Odell, so if Odell goes off, he could easily get a big, big win. All right, so let's go with the main players, with the top players. Derek Carr and Eli Manning. I'm not a big fan of Eli Manning, but I see why people would start him. Derek Carr is just on another page, man. He's having a Pro Bowl year. If he carries his team to the playoffs, he can even be considered to be an MVP candidate. Jeremy Hill versus Cleveland. Now, Jeremy Hill has not produced since AJ Green and since Gio Bernard has gone down. But this is the game he's gonna skip. He's gonna score quite a bit here. Jordan Howard, he's just playing on another level, man. He had 3 touchdowns last week. He probably won't get 3 touchdowns against Detroit, but he is the sole offensive player of that team. So if they could get him into scoring positions, he's gonna score. J.I.J. Arizona, J.I.J. is gonna get shut down. Chris Ivory versus Minnesota is gonna get shut down. Julio Jones is questionable at LA, but if Julio Jones does play, he has proven to score quite a bit on weeks where he was questionable to play that Sunday. So it's a middle of the day game. So that gives him a couple more hours to possibly decide if he's going to play or not. Odell, same thing with Odell. He could go for 4 points or he could go for 30 points. So that could go either way. But Odell is Odell. Amari Cooper versus Edelman. I like Amari Cooper a little bit better than Edelman. Um, Kobe Fleener, Zach Ertz. I love Kobe Fleener's matchup here. Zach Ertz, I'm not a big fan. Randall Cobb and Theo Riddick. I highly recommend that Thor's Hammers benches Randall Cobb for Devontae Adams. I highly recommend it, Tizo. Highly recommend it. Theo Riddick. I like Theo Riddick against Chicago. That could go. That could be the difference maker and get Timo Moreno into the winning column. All right, Vikings versus Jacksonville, they're going to score quite a bit of points, and Buccaneers versus New Orleans, this could go into the negatives. If New Orleans scores 40 points, they're going to get into the negative. Sturgis and Catanzaro. Catanzaro's the better kicker. All right. Like I mentioned, I don't like Chris Ivory and I don't like Randall Cobb. So I will probably start Derrick Henry, and he really needs to start Devontae Adams if he wants to win. And that's about it, man. So yeah, so if he was to do that, he pretty much is guaranteed to win. All right. Brandon Cooks versus Tampa Bay. I will start Brandon Cooks over Julian Edelman. Um, Baldwin, I would try to start Baldwin. Maybe bench Jai and go with Baldwin. And Dwayne Allen, man, I don't know why he doesn't want to put Dwayne Allen. He just had 3 touchdowns. Now he's not going to get 3 touchdowns against Houston, but you can't start Ertz over Dwayne Allen, especially after Dwayne Allen had 3 touchdowns. Now, uh, he may not get 3 touchdowns, but he possibly could get one, and they're going to go to him in the end zone. I mean, he's shown that he can get 3 touchdowns, so both these guys probably need to adjust their lineups. All right, guys, I'm going to finish editing this at Ronnie's house tonight. Hope to see you out there, man.